a manufacturing instructions training session. So just quickly go over what we're going to discuss. So we're going to have a look at an introduction to manufacturing instructions, including what they are and how they work. And then we're going to have a look at a demonstration where I'll be setting up the manufacturing instructions and showing you how to print them as well. So what are manufacturing instructions? So they are a set of instructions applied to a formulation typically used to capture the manufacturing process of an item. Manufacturing instructions can be included in item composition reports, and this can be printed using the print composition tools in Formpak. There we go, it wasn't changing screen then. So how do manufacturing instructions work? So the components in the composition are assigned a stage number, so you can see them here, relevant to where they should appear in the instructions. So to give you an example, we've got 3 dry ingredients there that are listed at stage 2. They're then grouped together in the instructions with a common instruction, such as add the following dry ingredients and mix well. You then got the remaining items, which are the wet ingredients, grouped together in manufacturing stage 4, and they are grouped together with a common instruction as well. You can have the stages here can go up as high as you want, really. I think the most I've seen is 10 that's on there. So you can assign various like kind of stages to ingredients. You'll notice that it starts at 2 and it hasn't got 1. So I'll explain why that might be in this in the next slide there. So how do the instructions get assigned? So each instruction is added as a property value in the manufacturing instructions property group. So we've got an example of the property group here, and if I show you where each one comes in, so there's manufacturing in stage 1. In the previous screen, we noted that there wasn't any ingredients assigned to stage 1. What that enables you to do is just put a general instruction there that isn't relating to any specific ingredient in the composition. So in here, we're just pre-introducing the concept that we're going to mix the dry ingredients first. So then we've got manufacturing stage 2. So this one has got the dry ingredients listed with this one. So add the following dry ingredients and mix well. So then we jump to 4. So the reason being there is that it would give you the option to add a general instruction in manufacturing stage 3 if required, but we haven't needed one. So we have just gone straight from 2 to 4, which again has got ingredients assigned to it. So there it's blend the following ingredients in a separate vessel. And then because there's no more ingredients to add on there, we have got the option to add additional stages in. We have got manufacturing in stage 5, which is there. Add the liquid blend to the powder and mix until blended. So that's again just a general instruction, not relating to any specific ingredients. And then finally, we have got the manufacturing stage 6, which is to take a sample for QC, cover the vessel with a lid and place in a cold store. So there is the option to add additional instructions afterwards. And then the final property here is set up to show, it's like a pre-instruction, if you want to think of that. So before you started the process, there is the instruction to ensure all vessels and utensils are clean before commencing manufacture. So it's just general instructions there. So that's roughly how the manufacturing instructions work. I will be demonstrating it next for you so we can go into it in a little bit more detail. The reason why you might want to generate these instructions, obviously if you kind of manufacture internally, so you want to send a set of instructions to people in the lab or your kind of warehouse on how to manufacture the items correctly. You may use a third-party contract manufacturer, so you could send this accompanying with any items sent to the manufacturer to give them a set of instructions that you've written yourself. And it has some other uses as well. Some customers will have this instructions that work in a very similar way that are included as part of a bigger document. So maybe like a batch manufacturing document that can accompany the item as well. So it can be used in other areas. But this is typically what it's used for, is just a set of manufacturing instructions. So what I'm going to do next then, we're just going to switch over to Formpak, and I'll show you how to set these up for a formulation. So I'm going to pull Formpak up here. I'm going to log in. So for those that are new to Formpak, or for those that might not know, this is the Formpak Support Center. It's in the middle of the screen. This is where you can go to get access to a lot of this support and training content that we have available. Regarding this session then, so there is a support article about manufacturing instructions. So if you do want to recap at any stage, there are some instructions there, but this video will actually go into a little bit more depth as to the instructions that are on there. So hopefully you'll still gain something from this training session as well. So what we're going to do, we're going to have a look at our item. So I'm going to go to, actually, before we start there, what we're going to do is the first step will be to assign the manufacturing stages to the items in the composition. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to modify a formulation composition. And it's ready. I've had this issue with my mouse today where it doesn't seem to click first time. Not sure why. So we're going to modify the items compositions first of all, so we can assign the manufacturing stages to it. So the item we're going to be looking for is FL 000027. I'm going to copy that because it might come in handy later. So I'm going to click there, load up our formulation. There we go. So you can see currently this is our formulation, but we haven't got the stage column showing, which is where we need to enter our manufacturing stage in. So we're going to go to other menus, then customize screen, scroll down to where the stage is, select tick, and then you can either save or save as default. So I'm just going to save this as default. So next time I log in, it will be there. There we go. So then we can assign the codes. This one's fairly simple to start off with anyway. So there's two stages that I'm going to be adding. And actually, all of them apart from the ethanol belong to the same stage. So we've got stage 2 for all of these items. And again, this is a simple setup. You can add as many stages as you want in order to get the instructions like kind of captured properly. But so we've entered our stages in here. So I'm just going to click Save and Check In. There we go. And then I'm just going to modify this formulation now so we can start adding in our instructions. Okay, so we've got our formulation here. So I'm going to go straight to the Properties tab. And I'm going to go to the Manufacturing Instructions Property Group, which is where we can start adding. Here we can see that there isn't any currently added in. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click Show All Properties, which will show me the options available to add these in. So you can see various properties that we have available for us. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to add our mixing property. So it's the mixing instructions, which is the one that appears at the top of the document to give us our manufacturing instructions. So we're going to click property here, add property value, and this property is just set up to be a free text field. So we can type in anything we want there really. So it's got my instructions on a different document on the screen, so you don't have to watch me type and try and spell. So we've got ensure all vessels and utensils are clean and undamaged before we start. So we're going to click that there. So that's now got our pre-instruction in there. So we left stage 1 empty. That gives us the opportunity to add an additional instruction in before we start. So I'm going to copy that value. Again, this is just a free text field, and we're going to put that in there. So stage 2 is where we've got our first ingredients going to be listed. So we're just going to add a simple instruction to stage 2. saying add the following ingredients. So we got that there. Then we're going to jump to stage 3, which was the final ingredient, which is the ethanol. So we're going to go in here. There we go. So add the following ingredients and stir until fully blended. So we've got that there. So then that's the end of our instructions to do with the items and the pre-instructions. With manufacturing instructions, they work in the same way that a normal property would. So these ones up to this stage have all been free text fields, allowing me just to enter the text that I want in there. So it could be that whilst that's good and it gives you the flexibility to add the instructions in there, you might want something a little bit more streamlined to avoid different people writing different types of instructions to send to the manufacturer. You might want more of a consistent wording to avoid any confusion. So we have got manufacturing stage 8 and 9 have been set up to be choice properties. And what that means is the values for these properties have been predetermined. So we have here this manufacturing stage 9 is, stage 8 has been reserved for QC samples. So we're going to choose from our options here. So we're going to say, please take a 30-gram sample for QC testing. So we're going to click OK there. And you can see there we have 3 options to choose from. So it doesn't have to be QC samples. It could be anything that you want on there. And if you want to streamline the options that are available to the user, you can predetermine what the question, responses is going to be. And you can have the choice option property for all of these if you want to make sure that actually all of the wording and the terminology has been predetermined for the user to pick from. The final step we're going to add is manufacturing stage 9, which has been reserved for storage instructions. So we're going to click on here, add the property value, and then from this option we've got 2. We can cover and store in a fridge, or we can cover and store in a cool place, in a dry cool place. So we're going to store in a fridge on there. And that for now is actually the instructions that I want to add. So I'm just going to click save. Then I'm going to show you how to generate the document, and then we're going to look at some more some additional options that you might want to look into to give you a little bit more flexibility when it comes to generating this information. So we're going to go to print composition of an item. So we're going to enter our item in. Nope, I haven't got it copied anymore. We're going to enter our item in there. There we go. And then we keep it to physical explosion, because that's the level, that's the items that we want to be represented as the physical items. Explosion depth, this is where we choose the manufacturing instructions. We can keep everything else the same. You can choose to make the format Excel or like kind of an HTML file. We're going to keep it as PDF because it's easier for you guys to see. You can also include costs, but I'm going to choose to show this without costs, and I'm going to make up to 100 in the quantity. There we go. So we click print, generates the document there, and we've got our instructions here. So we've got our pre-mixing instruction. We've got the stage 1 instruction. There's the stage 2 instruction with majority of the items. And then we've got the final item, which is being added with its own instruction before we then asked the manufacturer to take a 30-gram sample for QC and then cover and store in a fridge. So we've got that there. So that's, in the basic sense, how you set up manufacturing instructions. However, there are some additional options that you might want to use. So I'm going to go back into our formulation. Modify formulation. Reload this back up here. And to start off with, we're going to add some more properties that are already available to us. So these are the basic instructions. I'm going to show all so we can see which ones we're going to pick. So you can see there's some extra options here for the stage 2, or the second step or stage of the manufacturing instructions. So we can see here, and this is important because it refers to it's where the code plays that extra logic. So we've got Mfg Stage 2, which is the instruction we've already added. We've then got Mfg Stage 2A. which is an additional property we can add in there. And what this instruction will do is it will show directly underneath this instruction here. So if we wanted to add that instruction there, we'll be able to have a look in a second and see how it works. So on this one, the instruction is going to be set stirring speed to 25%. So we're going to add that in there. We've then got Mfg Stage 2 duration. So this property is designed to show underneath the ingredients. So it's still relating to stage 2, but it's more of an instruction that is relevant after you've added those instructions. So we're going here. We've got this one, and this one isn't a text field. This one's been set up again as a choice option, and we're going to set it the instruction to mix for 2 hours. So once you've added these initial instructions, we're then saying we want to mix for this part for 2 hours. So we're going to save this, and we're going to see how that looks on the instructions. Wait for this to save. Okay. We're going to go back to print composition of an item. There. Print to manufacturing instruction level, and then click print. Okay, so here's the instructions. So we can see here that the 2A property that we added, the set stirring speed to 25% is there. It follows that one directly before the ingredients are listed. Then once the ingredients are listed, we've got the duration property, which will appear afterwards, still linked to this stage, but this property is set up, or the logic of this report is to show the setup after the ingredients that's there. So we're going to mix for 2 hours. So we've now added a little bit of flexibility in there, so we can add multiple instructions on separate lines that's on there, and you can have mix instructions there as well. So the way this could be set up is that if you wanted to, you could have multiple predetermined statements that the user can then choose all of the relevant ones to build a comprehensive set of instruction linked to the items. You could then put some variables underneath it. So it could be mixed for 2 hours. It could be that you have the stirring speed as a variable here, so you can list all of the variables underneath. It's really up to you how you want to control that, or you can, how much you want it to be automated with the options predetermined, or how much you're happy for the person to almost like kind of create these with their own wording, kind of create them without any set rules already in place. So you can have quite a lot of flexibility there. I will highlight at this stage that yesterday, when I got asked about adding variables in, I tried to add one of these instructions on the fly and couldn't get it to appear in the right place. So part of the reason I've now included this section here in your training session is to illustrate that this flexibility can be added. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a final instruction, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to let you see how I set up the property to appear there. And what we're going to do is we're going to add an instruction. It's going to be a pre-mixing instruction that will appear underneath this one. So before the actual manufacturing process has started, we're just going to add an extra instruction in there. So I'll show you how we do that. So we do that using properties. But I'm going to add a new property here. So the property I'm going to add is instruction. There we go. So where I was going wrong yesterday and it wouldn't appear in the right place was I selected manufacturing instruction as the property type. So with the property type, you can choose what property type it is, and sometimes it doesn't make that much difference other than the organization of the properties. In this case, the logic of the report that we're generating, it has a separate logic for manufacturing instructions and manufacturing stages. The manufacturing report isn't relating to this document, I don't believe anyway. So what I was doing yesterday, I was specifying that this was an instruction, whereas actually I wanted it to be a stage. In this instance, I do want it to be a manufacturing instruction, and the manufacturing instruction property type appears before the actual stages have started. Then the property group, I did get this bit right yesterday, but we've got manufacturing instructions as the property group. We then got the value type. So this is where you could choose the choice option, and that will give you the ability to add all of the available properties that you might want. So this is where we could put different mix durations, different temperatures you need to add it at, that kind of thing. But in this instance, I'm just going to do a standard text property. And I think Sarah tested this yesterday, and we think you can get up to about 500 characters as a limit. I think that's where we got up to. We're not sure if that is the limit or whether you can get more on there, but even if it is 500, bear in mind you have got the option to add multiple instructions at any stage. I feel like that should be plenty to work with. So this is what we want our property to look like. I'm going to click save. There we go. So then the next stage is we need to look at the property group that these are in. So we're going to modify a property group, and the mod property group we're going to look at is manufacturing instructions. So part of the logic is on the report that we're generating that there is a difference between the logic between the different property types, like I just mentioned. So the manufacturing instructions, which these two are, will appear before the manufacturing stages, and the manufacturing stage property type are these properties here, so they are separate. Once you've got the property type selected, the document will then show these properties in the order in which they appear in the group. So even though it's got stage 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, for example, the properties will still show in the order in which they appear in this list. So with the pre-mix instruction, even though it will automatically appear before these properties, it could be that we want this to appear before the original mixing instruction. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click move to, enter the new position I want it to appear, and then that's going to appear before, this will be the top instruction, basically. It will appear before all of the other manufacturing instructions, which are these, this one here. So we're going to do that, and we're going to click save. So that's just reordering the property group in order to have that flexibility and that control to determine which order the properties appear on that report. So we're going to go back to our formulation now. So we're going to go to modify formulation. There we go. I'll copy that. That's going to be useful again. We're going to go back to the property group, back to manufacturing instructions. So we're going to click that there. Then we're going to go to, it was pre-mix instruction there. And then what my instruction here is going to be is just to ensure that the mix time is achievable. So we've specified here that we need to mix for 2 hours. We need to make sure that because this has got an extended period for manufacturing, I know for flavors, obviously, sometimes it can go on for much longer than that, or considerably longer than that, especially when washings are involved. But in this instance, we need them to make sure that actually the mixing time is achievable in the remainder of their working day. What I don't want to do is start the process, realize they've only got half hour left before they get to go home, and they're not going to be able to complete it in time. So we're going to say just to ensure the mixing time is achievable. So I'm going to click save. Wait for that to load up. There we go. And then we're going to print the composition of the item. Our ingredients in there. Manufacturing instructions. And then print. And there we've got it here. So our new instruction is inserted there. So ensure the mixing time is achievable. And then we've got all of our other instructions that we set up ready to appear there. And that's really how it works.
you.